Has anyone ever told you that what lies beneath a glamorous Hollywood mansion might be far more unnerving than any horror film? The story surrounding Gene Hackman's sprawling estate seems ripped from the darkest corners of imagination, replete with clandestine corridors, coded documents, and unsettling whispers of a cover-up spanning decades. Most people viewed Hackman as a beloved actor who had gracefully retreated from the limelight to enjoy a quiet retirement. But everything changed the day he and his wife were discovered under circumstances that left even the most seasoned investigators reeling. Some suspect an accident that defies natural explanation. Others whisper about a lethal secret that claimed 2 lives. Today, we pull back the velvet curtain on this baffling tale, inviting you into a mystery that could reshape how we understand the hidden side of Hollywood's glitz and glamour. From a distance, Hackman's estate glitters like a palace. The hedges are immaculately trimmed into geometrical shapes reminiscent of European royal gardens, and imported marble statues line the fountain courtyard. Bright ornamental koi swim in man-made ponds. Each structure on the grounds, from the goose houses to the caretaker's cottage, seems deliberately placed to exude wealth and style. Dusk, amber lighting casts an otherworldly glow, transforming the estate into a tableau straight out of a Hollywood fantasy. Yet, a closer look reveals disquieting details. A labyrinth of motion-detecting cameras covers every approach, ensuring no inch of property is left unmonitored. Beyond the decorative gates, discreet signs warn away trespassers in blunt legal jargon. Delivery drivers mention a strange hush that permeates the grounds, as if the place repels the usual chatter and bustle one expects in a mansion of that scale. Locals share anecdotes of hearing faint mechanical hums late at night, the source of which remains unexplained. Former staff members claim Hackman was an unusually secretive employer. Maids were assigned only to specific sections of the mansion, never permitted to wander the halls freely. Gardeners reported sealed doors leading down to the cellar, barricaded with advanced electronic locks. Occasionally, they glimpsed unknown visitors arriving in tinted vehicles, ushered swiftly inside without any greeting or conversation. What business did these people have? And why was Hackman so determined to keep every corner of his residence off-limits to prying eyes? For years, such oddities sparked small waves of speculation, but nothing seemed substantial enough to break into mainstream awareness. Then came the day Gene Hackman died, an event overshadowed by suspicion. Soon after, law enforcement swarmed the estate, igniting a frenzy of rumors about what they might uncover in those grand halls. Journalists took up positions outside the gates, capturing furtive glimpses of officials carrying out boxes sealed with evidence tape. The stage was set for an extraordinary revelation, one that, as we now know, would revolve around a labyrinth of tunnels and bizarre relics no one expected to find. News of a secret staircase spread like wildfire, capturing public attention in a matter of hours. It started as a whispered rumor. An FBI agent stumbled upon a hidden latch behind a row of vintage books in the mansion's lavishly appointed library. The agent, noticing a subtle draft, tugged at the wood paneling, revealing a concealed entrance. Stepping into the darkness, investigators found a steep set of stone stairs leading underground, a secret corridor that twisted and branched in multiple directions. Initial sketches made it evident the passage extended far beyond the estate's official blueprint. Some routes ended in abrupt caved-in areas, thick with cobwebs and dust, suggesting they hadn't been used for decades. Others continued in near-perfect condition, with walls fortified by modern building materials. The difference between those ancient paths and the freshly reinforced tunnels suggested someone had made renovations in recent years, but the question was, for what purpose? Among the earliest discoveries were carved symbols on the tunnel walls. Some resembled esoteric alchemical signs, others seemed akin to star charts or cryptic geometric patterns. Experts consulted by authorities speculated that these symbols could be partial ciphers, but their exact meaning remained elusive. The significance of each design, some etched with almost surgical precision, fueled theories that the tunnels were not simply about clandestine movement. They might have been a repository of forbidden knowledge or part of a hidden society that demanded elaborate secrecy. Word spread quickly that the labyrinth's size exceeded even the FBI's initial estimates. It wasn't just a single corridor connecting different basement rooms. It was a network of channels extending so deep that special teams were called in to explore them safely. Rumors circulated of booby traps, sliding doors, and concealed entrances to chambers filled with archaic documents. Whether exaggerated or rooted in truth, these stories fed the public's hunger for a grand conspiracy. Journalists speculated about everything from exiled royalty seeking refuge to a covert refuge for scientific endeavors that defied ethics and laws. As investigators pressed onward, they began finding more tangible evidence that tied directly to Gene Hackman. Hidden compartments contained personal notes, some scribbled in a handwriting matching known samples from the actor. One snippet read, "No turning back now, already gone too far," fueling speculation that Hackman was aware of the labyrinth's significance and perhaps embroiled in something precarious. The deeper investigators dug, the clearer it became. Whatever was concealed beneath the estate, Hackman's final days were intimately bound to it. Eventually, word leaked of strange artifacts discovered in the labyrinth's depths, far more perplexing than mere diaries or scribbled notes. Early photographs from unnamed sources hinted at wooden crates branded with symbols resembling archaic alphabets. Some crates were filled with carefully sealed glass containers, each labeled in a notation that defied immediate classification. Others held mechanical devices that appeared both ancient and advanced at the same time. One widely discussed finding was a metallic contraption rumored to be an energy collector of unknown origin. Witness accounts described it as a series of interlocking gears set around a central crystal-like component. Though encrusted with dust and mild corrosion, parts of the device still moved freely if nudged. Speculation ran rampant. Was it an experimental generator left behind from an old scientific venture? Or was it a relic passed down through secret societies, hinting at technology that never made it to the public sphere? Next came revelations about a hidden library of coded manuscripts. Sheets of parchment, some so brittle they threatened to crumble at the lightest touch, were inscribed with runic script reminiscent of medieval alchemy. Others were typed on paper that looked no older than a few decades, referencing historical events in a manner that suggested insider knowledge. A handful of partial translations leaked online hinted at references to gateways, astral alignments, and the council, none of which pointed to anything conclusively. Self-proclaimed experts on the internet postulated that the text discussed parallel dimensions, while more grounded voices insisted the scripts were likely part of a cryptographic system developed for top-secret government operations. In the midst of the sensational coverage, more mainstream commentators tried to strike a rational tone. Perhaps Hackman, a known collector of rare curiosities, was indulging an eccentric hobby. Wealthy individuals have been known to amass peculiar items, like centuries-old grimoires, simply because they can. Maybe the labyrinth was part of a grand exercise in architectural showmanship, or a last-ditch attempt to secure private spaces for personal reflection. Yet these mundane possibilities seemed less likely when weighed against the labyrinth's scale and the complexity of its hidden objects. It was the secrecy around these finds that fanned the flames of public intrigue. Officials refused to confirm or deny any specifics, citing the need to protect the integrity of an active investigation. But the silence only validated the public's fears. Something extraordinary had been uncovered, something that might challenge our accepted narratives of science, history, and authority. Could these items hold the key to breakthroughs never intended for civilian eyes? Or did they represent the final vestiges of a hidden tradition that once thrived in the shadows? No matter how enthralling the labyrinth's artifacts were, they paled in comparison to the central tragedy, Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy. Before these tunnels were discovered, the couple's deaths were quietly classified as unrelated health incidents. That official story unraveled when investigators started connecting the dots. Betsy's death, initially described as sudden, happened mere weeks before Gene's own demise. Both official reports claimed natural causes, yet critical details remained elusive. Friends recalled Betsy's uncharacteristic anxiety in her final days. Known for her calm demeanor, she confided in a close acquaintance that she felt an intangible threat looming over the estate. One cryptic text message read, "They won't let us leave." Another concluded with, Gene thinks it's safer this way, though she never elaborated on who they might be. Prior to that, Betsy had canceled social engagements without explanation, withdrawn from philanthropic committees she'd once been eager to lead, and reportedly looked over her shoulder whenever a conversation turned to the estate's security measures. Gene's own behavior added weight to the notion that the couple feared for their safety. A longtime friend claimed Gene had installed extra locks on interior doors throughout the mansion, as if suspecting potential threats from within. A few nights before he died, a neighbor spotted him in the garden, seemingly engaged in an argument on his phone. His voice, raised enough to carry across the hedges, betrayed intense frustration. While no one could hear the other side of the conversation, Gene's closing line allegedly was, "If anything happens to me, it's on you." Those words now ring in the ears of everyone searching for explanations. Once the labyrinth came to light, suspicions of foul play multiplied. Some hypothesized that Hackman and Betsy either discovered or possessed knowledge that made them targets. Others wondered if a secret group with vested interests in the tunnels had grown nervous about the couple's intentions to go public. A darker rumor suggested the pair fell victim to an experimental procedure gone awry, perhaps linked to the unlabeled vials. In each scenario, the underlying thread remains the same. Knowledge hidden in that subterranean maze was dangerous enough to claim lives. To date, officials have neither confirmed nor denied any direct link between the labyrinth and the Hackmans' demises. But for many, the official story of natural causes strains credulity. Too many signs of distress, too many hush-hush operations, and an estate bristling with secrecy. People can't help but suspect a grander scheme was at work. While many mysteries remain, the final days of Gene and Betsy Hackman stand as a haunting testament to the estate's lethal potential. Were they unwitting explorers of secrets too immense to handle, or fully complicit players in a clandestine game gone horribly wrong? A turning point in public fascination arrived when unofficial sources leaked that FBI specialists had confiscated numerous unmarked vials from a hidden chamber adjacent to the labyrinth. Speculation about their contents ran wild. Some believed these were leftover contraband from a time when the tunnels served as a smuggling route. Others posited the vials held samples of experimental compounds, maybe prototypes for pharmaceuticals or performance enhancers that never received regulatory approval. Further intensifying rumors were claims that the vials' chemical compositions defied standard classification. Allegedly, private labs that attempted to analyze them found unconventional molecular structures. One improbable rumor held that the substances reacted strongly with certain metals, corroding them at an accelerated pace. Another rumor suggested the fluid glowed faintly when exposed to certain frequencies of light, reminiscent of isotopes used in nuclear medicine. With law enforcement tight-lipped, the vacuum of information allowed these wild guesses to flourish unimpeded. Adding to the intrigue, investigators removed a stainless steel mini-fridge from the same chamber, which was said to contain stacks of lab notebooks. Pages of these notebooks were partially burned, as if someone hurriedly tried to destroy them. Surviving fragments mentioned repeated references to Phase 3 expansions, human tolerance thresholds, and an unidentified sponsor described only by an alphanumeric code. Footnotes in the margins contained disclaimers urging caution about untested side effects. Although few details have emerged about the precise scope of these experiments, the suggestion is that they involve something significantly beyond mainstream medical practice. Online communities latched onto every rumor, fueling the idea that Gene Hackman himself might have been the subject of an experimental treatment. The actor had been in his later years, after all, and Hollywood rumors about off-the-books anti-aging procedures have persisted for decades. If Hackman funded or participated in a groundbreaking, perhaps illicit drug trial, it could explain the hush around his final days. Some even wonder if Betsy accidentally OD'd on an unregulated compound, prompting a frantic scramble to cover up the truth. Skeptics caution against reading too much into these theories, pointing out that the FBI has yet to produce formal indictments. Nonetheless, the presence of unlabeled vials and partially destroyed lab notebooks is enough to keep the public's imagination in overdrive. Even the most reserved commentators acknowledge the power and resources it would take to conceal a large-scale medical experiment, especially if the research challenged both the law and basic ethics. If Hackman's wealth and influence were channeled into such a venture, the ramifications could stretch far beyond his estate. A turning point in public fascination arrived when unofficial sources leaked that FBI specialists had confiscated numerous unmarked vials from a hidden chamber adjacent to the labyrinth. Speculation about their contents ran wild. Some believed these were leftover contraband from a time when the tunnels served as a smuggling route. Others posited the vials held samples of experimental compounds, maybe prototypes for pharmaceuticals or performance enhancers that never received regulatory approval. Further intensifying rumors were claims that the vials' chemical compositions defied standard classification. Allegedly, private labs that attempted to analyze them found unconventional molecular structures. One improbable rumor held that the substances reacted strongly with certain metals, corroding them at an accelerated pace. Another rumor suggested the fluid glowed faintly when exposed to certain frequencies of light, reminiscent of isotopes used in nuclear medicine. With law enforcement tight-lipped, the vacuum of information allowed these wild guesses to flourish unimpeded. Adding to the intrigue, investigators removed a stainless steel mini-fridge from the same chamber, which was said to contain stacks of lab notebooks. The Hackman estate stands silent today, an opulent mausoleum for secrets that yearn to be deciphered, and a testament to just how profoundly the line between glitz and gloom can blur under Hollywood's dazzle. If you find yourself tempted to pass by, consider this. Behind every grand facade, there may lie a secret corridor or two, waiting for the right moment to reveal its hidden story.